Go. Welcome to a special edition of the Shattered Glasscast. Find the show at Glasscast NEI. Damian, Salty G, Chip K Fabe. We are freezing. We are cold. After what do they call it? The snowstorm. What was that? What
The bomb cyclone or
the
something
bomb
like that.
cyclone was the name of it. I don't know who the hell. What meteorologist picked that out? I don't know.
Right? And it was called Winter Storm Grayson.
That sounds like the most douchiest name you can name a storm.
They're actually in. It's funny because of the timing. I saw for the first time they're called the Amazing Graysons at Chaotic Wrestling a couple of weeks ago, and now we have a Winter Storm named Grayson.
Wait, so they're biting off of Dick Grayson's family from Batman? Really? That's the gimmick?
I never even thought of that either.
Anywho,
We're awake.
Anyhoozles, the fact that we are coming live on a Friday, a very frigid Friday, but we felt the need to do a live stream for Shattered Glasscast just because Wrestle Kingdom is in the books, and now they're on to what's it called? New Year's Dash. And for those who don't listen to our show, normally we don't usually cover New Japan, but we felt that because of the crossover with WWE due to Chris Jericho, amongst everything else, we wanted to do a special edition. So let's just start here. Jericho Omega, in my estimation, was a really good, but not great, no DQ psychologically built match. And I will say it for this reason. Jericho's 47. He's banged up. He can't do what he used to. That's just what happens with age and attrition.
Yep.
The Jericho moonsault, the lion salt I saw, he looked like he labored to fully rotate, and I'm worried for him in the future that he may have to stop doing that move. But overall, it was a good psychologically done wrestling match in terms of just using the stipulation. The pace was slow at first, and then you had that table spot in the first 7 minutes.
Yeah. And, the bleeding ass spot.
Yeah, the bleeding. And shout out to my boy Rick Castle for saying, yeah, I've taught him how to spot the blade job. And when Kenny was bleeding in the head during the match, he was like, yeah, I saw him take the blade out. So I thought that was cool.
Then he pulled out the wrist tape, right?
Yeah, he pulled out the wrist tape. And it's always fun to see people who don't know that see it, and they're like, damn it, man, why'd you ruin it for me?
Right. Well, it's just like you could see in that match, Jericho was calling a lot of it.
He was.
Turnbuckle especially, you could see him go right in Kenny's face. And I couldn't hear what he was saying, but that's the one thing in Japan about calling spots too, is that crowd is so quiet and respectful that you can literally hear anything soon. So you don't really want to call a match in the ring, I'd imagine, because everybody can hear it.
But I feel like that kind of match you had to call in the ring because it wasn't going to be a technical marvel. So there wasn't a lot of stuff to pre-plan,
right?
Painstakingly. But especially those chair shots into the turnbuckle, you could hear Jericho say, "You ready? You ready?"
Yes.
And then Kenny go, "Yeah," and then they do it. I didn't feel it took away from the match. I thought, whatever it was, what it was. Jericho had a dad bod going on.
Yeah, massive. Like he's notorious for enjoying Hostess products. So I feel like while he was touring with Fozzy, that he was enjoying his Hostess.
Yeah, he's been munching on the ho-hos for a little bit, and the ring dings and the Drake's cakes or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, see, those cupcakes are my weakness.
Are they though?
Kind of. Like I put them in the refrigerator so they're cold. I'm weird, I know, but oh man, those are my weakness, and they must be Jericho's too.
Obviously, but I think it's at the point now where Jericho needs to start wearing tights. I think the trunks got to go.
Yeah, well, I mean, he talks about in one of his books that when he finally switched to the tight, the trunks in 2008, 9, whatever year it was, that they're like, "Why didn't you ever do this? You have such nice legs, and now you won't be able to do it for long because you're getting older." So I think you're right. He does need to go back to the tights, or you know what, wrestle in your leather jeans that you keep on attacking people in.
I was gonna say, why doesn't he just do the whole MVP full bodysuit thing?
Right. I mean, I guess he can go shirtless. I mean, we've seen worse shirtless. So
true, but I'm just speaking just from an entertainment perspective. Like it was evident that Jericho's body, especially with his weird indented chest.
Yeah, well, he has that Scott Steiner chest going. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that Kofi Kingston bird chest where it looks like it's caved in on itself.
Yeah, like who punched you? Like why is your chest
Who
caved in?
broke your chest? But the match itself was good. Omega, when he came out, I looked like a Keyblade. If you've played Kingdom Hearts, it looked like he was holding some
Yes.
sort of Keyblade. Don Callis on commentary is atrocious. I'm sorry. I just
Not a fan?
not a fan of Don Callis. I'm not a fan of Kevin Kelly. I would rather have gone back and rewatched it on the Japanese telecast just because Japanese
Sure.
announcers just put so much fervor into things. But the spots were good. I enjoy Jericho playing up the heel Gaijin role, even
Yes.
though he's the interloper. He was the one that jumped Kenny Omega, and just seeing him, put the middle finger up to the crowd and the camera spots beat up Red Shoes. By the way, does Red Shoes have the slowest 3 count in all of history? Because
Absolutely.
I
But
mean,
he's also one of the most, he's like, so one of my biggest things, I talked about this on Checking the Boots all the time, was my biggest thing with referees is I hate referees that want to be right in the camera, want to be there all the time. That's why I absolutely hate Earl Hebner.
yes, agreed.
But Red Shoes, you never know he's there until you need him to be there.
Because you'll hear him ask the wrestlers, "Do you want to give up? You want to give up? Like,
Yep.
what do you say?
Like, why are you in my camera? Go away."
Right. And the best part about it, they picked the right ref to be in that match because it took all 3 of them to make that match great for what it was.
So for new New Japan fans, that was probably I don't know. It's not what to expect. Don't expect that often. The Jericho Omega match type in Japan, because that was a WWE type match.
Yes, it was.
So don't come to expect that.
No, that's a great description. I mean, it was a really good WWE psychological match, and they played up the no DQ angle. Jericho beating the crap out of Red Shoes and his son, pulling out the lion tamer,
on
made
the
me
young
happy.
lion.
Yeah, that made me happy, and I'm sure that was lost on a few people.
Yes,
especially when Kelly's saying, "Oh, it's the walls of Jericho," and I'm like, "No, dude, it's the lion.
It's the lion tamer.
Like, get it right."
He's taming the young lion with the lion tamer. Come on, man.
So I just thought that was ironically funny.
Yeah. I mean, everything, and you can tell that Jericho is ready for it. Oh, let me attack Red Shoes Kid and make it a point. That we talk about WWE storytelling all the time. That's how you can tell this was a WWE type match. Storytelling, theatrics. It had all of it.
Oh my God, the theatrics were out there, man. And how fun was it that Jericho came out to his own music?
That's the most rock star thing ever. To come out to your own band's theme song at a wrestling event, at the biggest wrestling event in Japan. Like how rock starish is that?
It's true. I mean, we've seen Keith Lee do it in the indies, where he sings his own theme song, but like for Jericho to come out in the Tokyo Dome with his own wailing, because as you and I discussed, Jericho doesn't sing, he wails.
He does. But you know what? Rich Bass is a very good guitarist, and I enjoy, aside from Jericho singing, I enjoy Fozzy a little bit.
Not my kind of music, but I respect.
My little guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I respect the fact that people actually listen to it. So overall, you said it was a WWE match. Any other takeaways from the Jericho Omega match?
Just people are saying, "Oh, this was Vince, sending over Jericho as like a double agent." I don't think so. Yeah, sure, it was a WWE style match, but I think that's what they wanted anyways. Whether it was Japan or Jericho himself, I think that's what was planned. That's what it was going to be. I don't think WWE had anything to do with it. I don't think this was a test. No. I really don't. I think Omega is in Japan for at least another 2 years and possibly never comes to WWE. But one way or another, whether he goes to WWE or not, Jericho facing him wasn't because of WWE. It was just happened. Right.
And me personally, I don't want Omega to come over, if I'm being honest here.
At all?
At all.
Okay.
I think he has a great relationship with Ring of Honor. I think New Japan is the perfect place for him. Inevitably, he's the U.S. champion now, so inevitably when he moves up to, if it's not Okada, whoever else has the belt at that point, I think he will be the rightful, even if it's for a year or a short-term run, unless WWE throws him millions and millions of dollars in his own working schedule, I don't see a place for Kenny Omega in WWE.
Sure.
It happened with Prince Devitt, Finn Balor. I can see it happening also. It's the main reason why I don't want the Bucks to come over either, because I feel like what's the best? They're going to come over and debut in the main roster and then get squashed by the Authors of Pain.
True. True. Well, but you know what? I think the Bucks would have a better chance at survival because they're good business. We can tell now after the last year or so,
Mhm.
they're very good businessmen. So if they come over and say, "Hey, we're doing this. We're coming for the money, and we want to do this. And if you don't agree to it, we're not coming." I think WWE would do it.
Well, if it'll make Vince money, I think is the main thing here. But how much of yourself do you give up for the paycheck?
Right. They'll be giving some of themselves up, but they could also agree to, we're keeping our merch at Hot Topic. There's a way they could try to work it out. And they have the leverage too. They could say we have all this going on and we want to keep it. So if you're not going to agree to it, we're walking out the door.
Right.
So they have the leverage.
And and I'm not the biggest Young Bucks supporter. I like them for what they are. They're entertaining, but I'm not a big Bucks guy, so to speak.
Let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
Have you seen them live yet?
Yes, Ring of Honor multiple times.
Never mind then. I wasn't a fan either until I went to the Ring of Honor pay-per-view in Lowell last year.
Mhm.
Then I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, I get it, but for me, it just doesn't. I don't know. I think they're better in New Japan than they are anywhere else, to be quite honest with you.
Sure. Actually, their match last night was great.
You know what? The 3K actually impressed me more than the Bucks did, but that's an example of the Bucks helping them through their first Wrestle Kingdom match.
Yep.
It's like we've been there, done that. So we're gonna make Roppongi 3K, which I love the name, and I just love those two, the way they worked.
Show and Yo.
I mean, come on, man. It sounds like a hip hop group. Show Yo.
Show Yo. Actually, I think that's a yogurt place out here.
Is it really?
I think so.
Oh, that's.
I think I've heard Show Yo out here before. I have to look it up now.
Show Yo, Froyo, baby.
Oh God, this is what happens when we record at 10:45 in the morning.
Well, because we're thinking about Froyo.
We're thinking about Froyo.
Well, all right. Let me just put a bow on this really quick of the Omega thing and the Jericho thing. It did what it was supposed to do. In the broadcast, you hear Kelly mention they got over tens of thousands extra New Japan downloads or subscriptions.
Yep.
So it did that job to bring more eyes on New Japan. And what it also did was introduce potentially a WWE audience to New Japan Pro Wrestling, which
absolutely,
we have been banging the drum for a while now about how New Japan is not an indie federation, is not an indie promotion. It is a legit professional wrestling promotion because they treat it like sport. And you could tell during the whole event, everything was handled in the regality of it all. It seemed important. Everything seemed like it mattered. There was nothing that was a throwaway.
Right.
So it did what it accomplished. It accomplished what it set out to do. Let's put it that way.
Yep. And exceeded a little bit.
Yeah, the match itself exceeded my expectations, to be honest with you.
The match itself exceeded by a lot, but the event as a whole also exceeded to me.
Okay, because I remember I watched the big shows like you. I watched last year's Wrestle Kingdom also, and from top to bottom, I thought this card was better. But I will say this: the best match of the night wasn't Omega and Jericho.
No,
and it's not even close to me. I know Ant had a poll that said the opposite opinion, saying that Omega and Jericho was the best of the evening. But to me, it was Naito and Okada.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you know both of these guys, you know how much fun it looked like they were having, even though they were playing a deliberate pace. The pacing of every match was good. I thought, with the exception maybe the Jay White match, pace,
man.
I know Tanahashi's injured, and I know he's hurting pretty bad, but
I was still impressed by Tanahashi. Jay White was just like, oh, come on, man. You're so much better than this.
Exactly.
I know you are.
And I kept saying that. I kept saying, when is the real Jay White going to show up? And I thought, if he can't pull a rabbit out of his hat to make this at least a 4-star match, then
I did give up on that match. Full disclosure, I did give up on. I watched it, but I can't tell you I was actually paying 100% attention to it
because I thought it was going to be the show stealer. I thought that had the potential just from an energy standpoint, because we both know how good Jay White can be, and we both know how Tanahashi is. But the fact that he's injured and he's still milking those injuries and nursing those injuries, I was disappointed. I would say that was the match that disappointed me the most on the card.
That was the most disappointing match on the card. But you know what? It's like I've even seen Jay White have a good to kind of actually great match with Kushida at Ring of Honor. So it's like, I know you're capable of it, but you know what? Even if Tanahashi was healthy, still don't think it would have been a great match.
No, and I think they just played the psychology of, trying to take out the ace kind of thing. Like that was,
Yep.
that Switchblade's thing is trying to be the new ace of New Japan.
Well, I think the problem is they're trying to make Switchblade too much of a thing. Like, just let Jay White be Jay White.
Yeah, can't he just be Jay White? Like honestly, I saw him against Osprey at a Ring of Honor show, and I thought they tore the roof down. And I've never been an Osprey guy, and I'll talk about that later. But Jay White for me was the most disappointing aspect of Wrestle Kingdom. But going back to Naito and Okada, I've never been an Okada guy, and I know why. I finally understand why I'm not an Okada guy on the surface.
Please, because I'm not an Okada guy either. I mean, I like him. He's very good. Don't get me wrong, but he's not my favorite.
He looks like he's not even trying.
Okay.
Like it comes
everything gets too easy.
So easy. And in all of athletics, we see athletes that do this occasionally where it looks like they're loafing or they're not putting forth a lot of energy. But I think that is Okada's main gear is, I know I'm good. I make everything look good. So it looks like I'm not even trying, because his whole demeanor is so late. He's more tranquilo than Naito is in more respects.
The irony.
But they really made the match look easy, if that makes sense.
Yep.
They made two finishers that don't look like finishers look legitimate. In the Rainmaker, and I hate the way that Kevin Kelly calls it Destino, like he's announcing an Italian restaurant opening. Like, come to Destino. No, call it Destino. Just if you want to put the inflection on it, that's fine. But Destino sounds like an Italian tapas bar. Stop it. No.
Italian topless bar.
Tapas.
Oh, I was like a topless bar? Like,
no,
I've never heard of one of those. Like an Italian topless bar.
We may have created a new gimmick. I don't know.
We can open up a restaurant together now, because I think we just came up with something.
Called Destinos.
I know we did a bunch of creeps, but
yeah, I know. Just like the Jericho Cruise, but that's beside the point.
Oh boy.
But the match was good. I thought it was the best match on the card. I thought they had good chemistry. I thought the spots were safe but effective. I love just Naito at the end getting pumped up, and it feels like he was going to win, but which we all knew was a foregone conclusion. I think the majority of us knew he wasn't going to win if you know his indie schedule coming up.
Oh, see, I thought Naito was winning.
Oh no, because Naito has a very Midwest.
Well, I know he's coming to St. Louis. I know he's going to
AAW. He's doing AAW. He's doing Rockstar, and then he's doing Glory Pro in February. So,
but see, the reason I thought he was going to win is because of all of that too. Why? Because they're trying to expand into the U.S. Why not have your heavyweight champion working in America? It's not like he's going to be missing New Japan shows.
By the way, I just got a text that says they're laughing about the topless bar joke.
Yeah, so we're gonna open a restaurant now. We gotta do it. Like
Destino's topless bar. Yes.
Yes, let's do it. We just gotta go alone because I'm broke.
So, did you think it was a good match overall?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't expect anything less. I thought that was going to be rivaled. I thought that was going to be rivaled by Tanahashi and Jay White.
Yes.
But I'm glad that it was the match tonight. And I'm glad Jericho and Omega are in the conversation too, because that could have gone terribly wrong.
It could have been a bomb. It could have bombed so badly, but
so I'm glad that we're talking about that in the good light that we are.
Yes.
But yeah, Naito and Okada lived up and exceeded expectations. It was the match of the night. Really thought Naito was going to win for the reasons that you explained, and kind of just because I felt like that was a redemption story. We tried the Naito story years ago. Didn't work. He failed. He went to Mexico. He came back, and now he's destroyed the IC title and is working his way up to the top title. It felt like a redemption story, and I thought that was going to be it. But maybe next Wrestle Kingdom, you get that loss. Now you're going to build it back up to next Wrestle Kingdom.
By the way, which brings up my next question to you: does Naito even need the title at this point?
No, but I think, well, yes. Right now, I say yes because you were getting so close to actually giving him the title. Now you got them wanting it.
Right.
So if you never went the title route, no, he wouldn't have needed it. But now that we've gotten him right on right there. He was so close. Now we just need to do it.
Side note, Ghetto is annoying as hell.
Oh yeah.
Just seeing him outside, he looks like he's dirty. He looks like he hasn't bathed in like 3 days.
When I see him, I imagine the kid from Charlie Brown.
Yeah, Pigpen.
Yes, I can never remember his name. Yes, I picture him with the little swirlies coming off of him.
He just seems grimy. Like you don't want him anywhere near your family members because either A, he might rob them, or B, he might contaminate them with some weird illness that hasn't been discovered yet. So
all the above, actually.
Yeah. And I don't think he added anything to the match. I thought
No.
he detracted because every time the announcers made a mention of him screaming on the outside, I felt that it didn't do him any favors.
Right. And for New Japan fans, yes, Gato is always at ringside for Okada matches. And I believe, now don't quote me on this part, but I believe Gato is actually the booker of
Yes, he is.
He is the booker in New Japan. So
yes.
that explains a lot of Okada's rise. I really thought yesterday was the time to he's already been the longest reigning champ. There's really nothing left for him to prove. He's beaten Tanahashi. He's beaten Omega. Yes, he's lost to Omega, so I can see where the story routes back around to Omega. But he's beaten everybody. What is there?
Naito,
what is there to
prove?
prove?
Ibushi, you know, he's beaten them all essentially.
What is there to prove? There's nothing left.
Well, I think the only thing they have left is the longest reign. Not
he already is.
No, not cumulative reign. I'm talking about like
single reign.
Single reign.
He's done it, I believe.
I could have sworn it wasn't the only thing up for contention now is the single reign because he has the most accumulated reign.
Right. No, I think this is the longest singular reign, and I'm going to try to look it up right now, but I believe he's already accomplished that.
But I think, in keeping with the question I asked you about Naito, I think if you reverse the roles, I think Okada does better as the champion, more so than not having the belt. His whole gimmick about making it rain and Rainmaker. And
well, that's a champion thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a champion thing. He can't do it. It's like when Ric Flair was styling and profiling without any titles. Like, it kind of got old after a while. So
I can confirm Okada does have the longest reign.
Oh, okay.
So there's nothing left to accomplish with the championship. But you're right. Without the championship, what is it?
What about a unification match?
What titles?
Maybe the Intercontinental title.
But then do you want to lose that one? Because that's
you'll make him a double champion and then he vacates it. Like,
okay.
Or he defends it twice. Like something like that. You know what I mean? Where it adds more.
Like what they tried to do with Rollins a couple of years ago.
It adds prestige to Okada even more so. Like he doesn't need it, but
sure.
I don't know. I'm still not an Okada guy. But I get how people love him.
He's very good.
He brings the best out of his opponent. So as a wrestler, he's a good wrestler.
Elite.
He's elite. Yes, I will give him that. But I don't connect with him. I just, okay, I'm a New York Mets fan. I'm going to try to correlate this to baseball really quick.
At least you're not a Yankees fan.
No, I'm not. And the Mets had Carlos Beltran in his heyday.
Yep.
And that was Carlos Beltran's biggest knock, is that he looked like he wasn't even trying hard because it came so naturally to him, the game. Right. So he was automatically detestable because it comes so easily to him. So that is how I view Okada. He's like the gazelle running. It just looks so natural where it's like, are you even trying, dude? Like,
right. Where's like he's putting any effort into it?
Right. Where's your intensity?
Right. And does he even sell that well either?
No, he doesn't, because it looks like he could care less. Like I said, he's more tranquilo than Naito is, and that boggles my mind. Because,
also, speaking of Naito, very quick, if anybody listening here has not watched New Year's Dash, I'm going to give a spoiler real quick.
Yeah, spoiler. I heard it. Yeah.
I'm going to give you 3 seconds to get off the stream.
Mm-hmm.
So Jericho's not done.
No, he's not.
He came out today at New Year's Dash and attacked Naito. So I got to watch New Year's Dash. Obviously, I slept a little bit, so I didn't get up for it. But that's going to happen. And I feel like that's going to happen on the cruise, because there are 2 nights of Ring of Honor on his cruise. So Omega and Naito back-to-back on his cruise. Jericho's cruise, that is. I feel like that's where that's going to happen. So.
I'm actually more excited for a Naito Jericho match than I was for the Omega Jericho match.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because it's going to be complete, utter, not even utter BS. It's going to be utter like crap talking in their own way. You know?
Right, like we're not gonna be able to understand what Naito says, but Jericho's gonna respond to it somehow.
By the way, I want to wear Naito's suit.
The tearaway one.
Yes, I want to
Yes.
wear the white tearaway suit
Yep.
with the mask and just walk around. He reminds me of Black Mask from the Batman
Yep.
storylines. That's exactly who he reminds me of.
That's actually good. You've coming up with all these comparisons today that I never thought of.
Well, I'm a comic nerd sometimes, so that's kind of how it all like comes together.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And NAI Pop, if you're listening, guys, if you want some expert opinions on comic books, you could always bring your boy Damian Salty G onto NAI Pop, but that's beside the point.
I'm gonna try to get you on.
Yeah, see
Not
how
that I have anything to do with it either, but
but I will say this: even though that was the match of the night, and Jericho's match with Omega was good, my favorite match of the night.
Yep.
Surprisingly, because I don't like 3 of the 4 people in this match, was the fatal 4-way between Ospreay, Squirrel, Takahashi, or Time Bomb, whatever you want to call them,
Minoru
and Kushida. Because
Hiromu, sorry,
I don't like Kushida. I never have.
Me either.
I never will. I feel like he's. They say he's like John Cena. He doesn't grow up. He's wearing the same stuff since the last like 10 years.
But I actually like John Cena.
Yeah, well, I just don't. I'm not a Kushida guy. I'm not an Ospreay guy. Like I just said before, Ospreay against Jay White. I like Jay White more than Ospreay. You even said off air to me that you don't know how Ospreay's style is going to translate as he gets older.
Right. I still know how I feel about the style in general. His specific style. Like he's a very over the top. Like, and I hate to say it because I'm gonna sound like Jim Cornette, but gymnastics type.
Spot monkey.
Yeah. It's unfortunately, yeah. Like, but I like Ricochet, and they're kind of the same. But I feel like Ricochet can bring it down to the mat. I don't feel like Ospreay is capable of that.
Well, that's what Ricochet is actually trying to do now. Because if you believe the rumors and the hype that he's NXT bound, he's trying to be more ground based in order to save his body a little bit more.
Like I want more Rollins in, you know what I mean? Like Rollins can fly too. Like I'm sure he could do a lot of what Will Ospreay does, but he can also work a match too without flying. So that's my pro. And Will Ospreay again, yeah, he's young, but he has that cocky attitude. Like, oh, I'm so good. It's like, you're not though.
Like you're not really that great, but it's okay. It's all right. Like, again, I'm not a fan of his, but even more or less a fan of Skrull.
I'm shocked by that. I really am.
I can't, man. He's all character, and I get it. Wrestling has characters because wrestling is built on characters, but he's just gimmick.
Marty's one of my best in the world.
He's not. To me, he's not.
No,
There's
I know.
nothing that stands out about him. He's got an average body type. He's not overly athletic. He's just the villain, and that's okay, but it doesn't float my boat.
Sure. Man, I don't know. I don't even know how to, because you're right. You're right. So I don't know how to defend him, but I love him, but I don't know how to defend him because you're kind of right.
Right.
Like I just can't make a comeback. That's why I'm struggling here. I'm trying to come up with something, but I can't. You're right.
But
don't turn me against him. Like I turned you against Asuka. Don't turn me against Marty because I'll hurt you.
Well, calm down. I ain't totally against Asuka. Okay, you just have me a little down on Asuka because now she's just a dance. But
she is.
She's just a booty shaking dance. Which no, you can't be an empress and then be booty shaking. I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense.
That's not what they do at all.
Not an empress. I mean, maybe I don't know. I'm not an empress per se, but if someone could tweet the show that's an empress. We'll take that into consideration. But the match itself, Hiromu is who he is. He, as I said, is the Tumblr section come to life. You can just do a fanfic with him and Daryl, and Daryl in the lucha mask I thought was entertaining. But the match itself was fun. One thing I'm tired of is the calling of your finisher and making it painfully obvious you're going for your finisher.
Okay, that I can agree with Marty. That I'll agree with.
Chicken wing. No, I know what you're doing, dude. You don't got to announce it. It's like when Sheamus gets ready for the bro kick.
HBK tunes up the band.
Yeah, it's like overly done, and then Ospreay with the Ospreay cutter. But overall, Yeah, he did.
Oh,
If
I
you
didn't even notice that.
if you look back and watch the match, he does it a few times where he's like Osprey Qatar, and he has like his arms in that weird upper
Oh,
yoga.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the action itself was good, so it was surprisingly entertaining for what it was. But those umbrella shots by
Oh
Marty,
man,
those seemed rough, man. Just
right to
rough.
the dome. Like,
And it sounded bad. Like, I
yep.
don't know if there's any way you can make an umbrella shot safe.
No.
You know, you just get whacked in the face with an umbrella, and that was it.
Right, and like it's not even like you can fake a umbrella either. Like
No.
that's a real umbrella. Like I don't think there's any way you could build a functioning umbrella fake. Like
Yeah.
if that makes any sense.
You know, and again, Marty is good. He's gotten that Young Bucks promotional mentality where umbrella swag and villain shirts, and so I get Marty Skrull as a concept. I get him as a money making concept, sort of like Joey Ryan. Joey Ryan's a money making concept.
Oh, see, I'm not a Joey Ryan guy at all.
I understand Joey Ryan. I get it because it makes him money and it's entertaining. But for me, if you're going to be supposedly one of the best in the world, Marty does not do it for me. Okay. But there were spots during that match where I thought it was intense. Like everybody was pulling out these hard hitting moves. Hiromu making these last minute saves. The spot where he's taped to the guardrail, that spot can be overly done sometimes, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing that spot done, and then I thought he was going to win. Honestly, if I would have to bet, I would have thought Hiromu was going to win the title.
Oh yeah,
and I was surprised by the ending.
I really thought that was going to. I really thought that was the answer because like, you've been doing all this stuff, but you know what? I'm not mad about Ospreay either.
No, me either.
It's not going to be long. I don't think.
No, and his reigns never are, because he's so in and out.
Yeah,
but
because he's done with Ring of Honor, from what I hear.
Yes, he has.
Again, spoiler. It hasn't been released yet, but I'm pretty sure everybody's heard about it. Ospreay is back at Progress, so that's a sign that he's done with Ring of Honor.
Yeah, which I'm glad for.
Yeah. I just think I always thought Marty was going to be quick in Ring of Honor. I thought Ospreay was going to be the lifer there. Not the lifer, but you know what I mean. There for a little bit.
I know, but eventually you kind of get. It goes back to what you were saying. When it comes to Ospreay, you get tired every once in a while of seeing the same old. So maybe because the broadcast kept bringing up the word excursions, so I feel that when people leave New Japan and do their quote unquote excursions, that is a way of keeping them fresh when they come back. Sort of like what happened with Jay White, and then he came back as Emo Switchblade. But
the worst thing possible.
Yeah, he's so good, man. I feel that.
I don't know what to do. Like, there's no way to make Switchblade
a thing.
Yeah, like for anybody. Like, unfortunately, it's Jay White, but I don't think that could work for anybody. Maybe Sami Callihan, possibly.
Yeah, the whole worldwide Desperado thing kind of works.
Possibly
works in his favor. But going back to that was the most disappointing match on the card for me. I thought the hair match, the Suzuki match, was stiff as hell. But then
I thought it was great.
Suzuki being Suzuki, that's what you expect. You expect him to beat the crap out of someone. Did I think Goto was going to go over? No, because Goto's one of my least favorites on the New Japan roster.
Sorry, Civil. I know Civil is one of the most angry men on the planet right now because of that.
Yeah,
because
I know.
of that. Yeah,
because Minoru, just given his age and given the fact that he has such a hard-hitting style, I am impressed that he can still do what he does. Like, he's legit scary. Like, if I saw him in the street, I would think he was Yakuza. I would not want to mess with that dude.
I think of Suzuki, like I think of Taz. Like, if I walk by them, they're still gonna kick my ass. Like,
no matter how old they are.
Yep.
Like, he could be 75 years old. He's gonna beat the crap out of me.
My favorite spot in that match was the hanging of Goto.
Yeah, but for me that just was like an ends to a mean or means to an end.
Right. I mean, that drop kick though.
Yes.
That drop kick off the ropes was great.
Again, the age factor.
Right. Pretty 49 doing that.
Pretty damn good. When was the last time you saw Kane pull out a drop kick? A reasonably looking drop kick.
I don't think Kane's ever done one.
So that match was hard hitting. I thought that was enjoyable. Kota Ibushi and Cody.
That
You
was
know, I'm not
Cody's
a.
best match of his career.
You thought that was his best match
Of his career.
of his career.
Yes.
Wow. Now you see, I thought it was just a 2 to 3 star match. I've seen what Kota can do. You have. Anyone who's seen the Cruiserweight Classic knows what Ibushi can do. I personally think Cody is in his right gimmick now, being this snarky, I know I'm better than you because I'm a gaijin, and look, I could dye my hair blonde because I'm an asshole.
Well, actually, so did you hear what that's all about now?
I know he said something, but I don't remember what he said.
It's for a movie, apparently. I thought it was just an ode to
Dream?
Goldie and Dream, but no, I guess it's for a movie.
Okay. Well, I mean, he is handsome enough to be in movies. So, by the way, not for nothing. I don't hit on married women or anything like that. But Brandy Rhodes is she's something else, man. She is beautiful.
Like, I don't get how that works. Like,
no, I do get how it works.
Share.
I get how it works because Brandy. One, Cody is very pretty. I will give Cody that.
Remember how bad he was when he inducted Dream into the Hall of Fame? His teeth are all over the place. Like, his teeth are fake. Like, we all know that.
Yes, now he's a pretty boy. Yeah, he is a pretty boy. And isn't Cody part like Latin? Like his mom?
I believe his mom is, yes.
His mom is Latin. So I can get that Cody's got a little bit of Latino heat in him, and then that would be something that Brandy likes, and it works.
Yep.
I think they're a pretty couple.
Cody.
Good for you. Good for shooting your shot. Because, in every relationship, there's a settler and a reacher. So
yeah, and Cody's definitely the reacher.
Cody reached. But they played their roles well, and think about this. A woman of color had a big thing to do with this match.
Yeah, actually, she tweeted about it today. She goes, "One day, if I ever have kids, I'll get to tell them that I was the first black female to walk the ramp at Tokyo Dome and the first black female to announce a WrestleMania. But for now, I'll just tell my niece."
Right. And the funny thing about that is that New Japan normally when they have women come down to the ring, they're either scantily dressed, i.e., Takahashi's ladies, something like that. But for Brandy came down and she was beautiful, but she was respectful looking. She was glamorous. She was, in a sense, the queen of, Ring of Honor, as people like to call her because of Cody. She played her part well. The conniving manager, she got underneath my skin watching it. I just wanted her to stop talking. So she did a good job. She did a good heel manager job. Very akin to Sensational Sherry and very akin to how Sunny was utilized at first with the Body Donnas. If you go back in 1996 WWF days. But that match itself was just, in my estimation, good for what it was.
Yeah.
I'm not a Cody guy. But if you say that it was the best match you've seen Cody do, I'm okay to sign off on that.
Yeah, it was his best performance in the ring of his career. I'm not afraid to say it. I'll put my mark on it. I'm not afraid to say it.
Okay, then that's completely fine. Ibushi, I love the fact that he's like wrestling's free agent and he can do whatever he wants.
Right.
1 minute he's going to show up in New Japan. The next minute he's going to show up on DDT. If he wants to do an indie show in
he'll do it.
In like Bismarck, North Dakota or South Dakota.
Bismarck.
Oh, it's North Dakota, right? Yeah. Bismarck, North Dakota. If that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. If he wants to show up in a random show in New Mexico.
As you say, he showed up in Spain like 2 months ago.
Exactly. And I feel that Kota, for as good as he is, and let's be honest here, with his neck injuries, I don't know if WWE is going to want to take a chance on him going forward. Because
that's why I don't totally buy everything they say. Oh, Kota's like, oh, I'm too good for you. I'm not taking your contract. I think it was more than that. I think it was the neck injuries.
They did offer him a contract, but I can understand him wanting his freedom because of the neck injuries. It's like, I don't think I want to be on a touring brand that tours for 300 days out of the year.
True.
Just for injury purposes. But he's another one who makes things look too good, where it doesn't look like he's trying hard. Maybe that's just the curse of being too good, and I understand that. Like we said with athletics, you're either too good or you're all heart. And in this case, someone like Kota Ibushi, someone like Okada, they're too good for the room, and it comes across as indifferent and aloof. And I feel like that can knock down a match star rating. And I'm not big on star ratings like Meltzer is. By the way, side note, How funny was it that they were mentioning on the broadcast about Vegas odds on how many stars
Oh
Meltzer is
man,
going to give Naito and Okada? Like, are
You-
you serious? You doing that right now?
all the stuff is like it's mind blowing to me. Like, who cares what Meltzer rates it? Like,
Yeah.
you know what, Meltzer, fine. You know what, people don't like him. I'll come out and say it. He's stupid, but you know what, he is in the know. So you gotta take everything
Yes,
he says.
he's knowledgeable.
He is knowledgeable. So you know what, his ratings. Sure, you may not agree with it, but you know what, he has a lot of knowledge that he spews out. You got to respect him at least a little bit.
Look, man, we've always said this. Wrestling is subjective. Wrestling rankings are subjective.
Right. I
That's
mean,
why
we just did that today. Marty
exactly.
isn't one of my favorites. You don't like him. It's like that.
But it's our opinion.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
what it is.
That's how we feel.
Wrestling is not something you can take objectively, case by case. It's subjective because you're going to get fans of Marty who think he's the greatest in-ring technician because he uses the crossface chicken wing.
Mhm.
And then you're going to get people who love people like Zack Sabre Jr. because they're technical wizards, or Will Ospreay because he's an aerial assassin.
What are your
But
thoughts on speaking of Zack Sabre Jr. then?
I've warmed up to him over the years.
Me too. I thought he was way too technical. And then I saw him at Beyond against Brian Fury, I think January 2016. It's like, okay. So he's very good. He's fluid. Everything looks good. And he doesn't make it look so easy.
Anymore.
Right.
Anymore. Because that was, for me, that was the knock. My knock on Zack Sabre Jr. was that during the Cruiserweight Classic, he made everything look too easy. And it seemed as if he was going through the motions a lot of the time. He's still not good at selling, in my estimation. He
screams a lot.
Yeah, and I get the fiery British, thing, but you have to learn. And I know I'm just a schlub behind a microphone, but Zach for me is good in ring, but that goes without saying. But his selling needs some work. He's gotten better. I think he steps up depending on who the competition is. Because, look, I'm gonna say a name that's not very popular in wrestling lately, but he had a match earlier in 2016 against Michael Elgin at AEW that essentially almost tore the roof off of the building. Yep. The building shook. I was there live.
Oh, I heard about that match.
I believe it was in Logan Square. The match was the best, my best match live of 2016, 2017, I should.
And actually, if you want to watch it, for people that are subscribed to Progress on Demand, that match is on there. So, you know what? Yeah, Michael Elgin isn't popular, but talent is talent. If you want to go and watch it, watch it. It's not like you're a bad person for watching a Michael Elgin match.
So that's my thing on Zack Sabre Jr. I told him to his face when I did a brief interview with him back when I was doing Last Mark at a HOG show, and I told him his match against Noam Dar during the Cruiserweight Classic, like he took it to another level. Like you could see he took it to a different gear, and I like that. I like when you can take it to a different gear depending on who your opponent is.
I was gonna say, because they have the history there of Progress and just England as a whole.
Right.
They know each other, so they brought the best out of each other.
And that goes back to Okada. Okada brings out the best in his opponents. Like Naito bought it last night or 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
Omega brings it in their trilogy. Omega brought it. And he got a great match out of Fale. Now, if you can get a good match out of Bad Luck Fale, and this is not a knock on Fale, he's just not the most coordinated guy on the planet.
Not even a little.
So if he can get a good match out of Bad Luck Fale, what can't he do? That goes back to what you said earlier. What can't he do?
Yeah. Nothing.
And speaking of surprises, by the way, I was surprised by the Young Bucks Roppongi 3K match.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of the Bucks overall. Yes, they are a bit spot heavy for my liking. I don't knock anyone that loves that style. They've
fine. Toned it down a lot, though.
Yeah. You could tell they're trying to tone it down because of injuries or whatever the case may be. But their psychological match against Roppongi 3K, with both parties working backs, working quote unquote hurt, it not being a spot fest, being stiff, but yet cerebral. And that is I give the Bucks a lot of credit for, what are their names? Say it again.
Yo and Show.
Yeah. I don't want to say they carried Yo and Show. By the way, Yo Show does sound like a rap group that they need to come out and be. That's just, the Yo Show.
Reminds me of Froyo.
We're not gonna talk about Froyo again. Anyway, they kind of
Topless
carried
Italian bar then.
Destinos. Come to our topless Italian bar. But
And neither one of us are Italian, so this would be great.
say what?
But
What'd you say?
neither one of us are Italian, so that would be great.
I'm actually half Italian, but
Are you?
So
you know how to make a good chicken parm then?
I know how to eat a good chicken parm. I know how to eat a good chicken franchise. But other than that, no. The only thing I know how to make pasta wise is a good fettuccine Alfredo.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The Italian restaurant I used to work at had the best fettuccine Alfredo. Now I feel like I need to go get it, but I'm on a diet, so I can't.
Yeah, me and you too, bro. We gotta drop some pounds. Especially since we're all meeting up at Rumble. But
yes,
the Bucks carried a good match for Roppongi 3K. I like Rocky Romero as the manager. I think he's a good Sami Zayn type wrestler, but he fits this mold as being a manager. And I think he doesn't cross the line like Ghetto of being annoying.
Right.
He does what he's supposed to do. So thank you, Young Bucks, for proving me wrong that you can actually carry a match. And maybe if anyone wants to tweet at GlassCastNEI or at Dare to be Damian, show me any other Bucks matches where it seems like they were carrying the people they were wrestling. I didn't really care for the the 6-man tag team titles. I didn't really care for it.
That was Chaos.
Chaos, Bullet Club, War Machine, etc., Suzuki Gun. I didn't care for it. It didn't do me any favors. But it
was fine. But
yeah, it was fine. But the card itself, on paper, and I talk about this all the time, on paper seemed great. In execution, if you could say it was a 6-star card, it was a 4-star execution.
Okay. But you know what? I agree with that number. I think it was the best undercard of a Wrestle Kingdom in a while.
You think so?
I think it was the best undercard. Because last year I remember not being overly impressed with the undercard. I just wanted to get right to the main events.
Yeah, it dragged.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's another thing I had a problem with. It was too damn long.
5 hours is a long time. And if you watch the pre-show, I'm sorry, I wasn't brave enough to get up at 2. I only went to bed at 12:30. I wasn't going to get up at 2 for a Royal Rumble that I didn't care about. So I got up at 3 for the main show. But even still, the main show until 8:08 a.m. It's like, oh man, like even WWE doesn't do this to us.
Well, SummerSlam is like what, 12 hours, and so is WrestleMania.
Again, if you just watch the main show, it's only 4 hours.
Right.
WrestleMania maybe would get you 4.5.
Yeah, but it was too long, and if you stayed up that long, good for you. I salute you all.
I was up from 3 to 8:15.
I couldn't, man. There was no way in hell I was going to be able to stay up that late to watch the whole card. That's why I watched it in bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But just to recap really quick, the most disappointing match for me was the Jay White Tanahashi match.
Seconded.
Maybe it's because Tanahashi's still hurt, and he's also 41 years old. So,
but you know, this dude needs to go and get that bicep fixed because we're not going to get any better.
Nope. And the announcers really need to stop calling a crossbody block the high fly flow. Stop it. Just not everything is high fly flow. Like, shut up, Kevin Kelly. Just shut up.
So real quick, because I know you're not a fan of the announce team. I know we need to get out of here, but what would your English commentary team be for New Japan if you could pick one?
Ooh. I'd take Mauro Ranallo.
Okay.
Because I feel like he can accurately display emotionally what's happening. And Nigel McGuinness.
Okay. I would take Ian Riccaboni because I really do enjoy him.
He's okay.
And Lance Storm.
If I could be serious here for a moment.
Right. That's I had to do that. But
yeah,
I think Lance Storm would be a good guy to actually break down a match. I don't think he'd be a good color commentator, but
no, he'd be a good
analyst.
He'd be a great in-studio analyst, I think.
Yep. But really, my play-by-play guy, that's hard. I would take Steve Corino back.
You like Steve Corino?
I did.
I think
sometimes he got with the Bucks. He got way over the top.
He was a little too shticky for me.
Man, see, there's not many good color guys out there.
Exactly. That's the problem.
Like, you know what? And for as much as people want to shit on Jerry Lawler, he was in his prime. He was a good color commentator.
Well, so was JBL.
Yeah. You know, and as much as people want to shit on him, I didn't mind him. When he wasn't teamed with Michael Cole, he was fine. You could tell that when he was with Michael Cole, they're very good friends. So you could tell that they were buddy buddy there. But when he was without Cole, he was fine. But go back and watch Vengeance in 2001. And the way King broke down a lot of those matches was his best work ever.
Well, that's what happens when you start becoming the color commentator guy. You become a caricature of yourself, and
Right.
you have to make the snide commentary. You have to side with the heels. That's why that's why I think Nigel's pretty good at what he does for NXT, because
That's true.
he offers insight. That's the best part of having a wrestler be a color guy, because they have insight to the actual in-ring portion of it all, and they can just break it down as an analyst, but at the same time be entertaining.
You know what? I changed Taz. Taz would be my color commentator.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
You're not a Taz guy?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, see, I love Taz. I think he's great.
Taz for me is the prototypical Brooklyn guy who just happens to be a heel commentator. You know who he reminds me of, and I know this guy gets a lot of heat in New York City? JD from New York.
Not familiar.
Okay, he is the play-by-play guy for House of Glory and a couple of other indie shows out here.
Oh, yeah. He just recently had a big on Twitter. Yeah.
That's who Taz reminds me of.
Okay. See, but like, I go back and watch the Ruthless Aggression era SmackDowns, and I thought Taz was great. He broke stuff down. He was entertaining. Like, I really enjoyed his commentary.
You know what? That's what happens when you're locked in. You're first starting out, and then you become a company caricature. Like you said, Jerry Lawler. Now with Taz, it happens. Percy Watson, I think, is horrible in commentary.
Oh, he doesn't say anything though, so he's tolerable.
Byron Saxton has gotten better.
Yep.
But you could tell he's still not naturally good at delivering lines. But he's better than what he was, and that's all you can ask for.
Yep.
Corey Graves also, I think, would be good in New Japan.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna take out Nigel, and I'm gonna put Myro with Corey Graves.
Okay.
For New Japan, I think that would bring a novice New Japan fan more education in the long run, more so than Kevin Kelly and Don Callis. I'm sorry. Again, I said it before. I'll say it again. He's insufferable. Insufferable. Like when he got taken out during the Omega table shot. Thank God.
I thought he was gonna miss the catch, like because Omega went down towards his legs. I was like, oh God, Don Callis is gonna blow his legs out.
And did you notice, like, it looked like he was holding him? Like they were holding each other. Like, are you okay? There. Are you all right? He gave him like a caressing his face really quick. I thought it was a touching moment. I thought it was cool. Spoilers for those who haven't seen New Year's Dash. Also, there is a angle brewing finally with Cody and Coda and Kenny Omega.
Yep.
About damn time. Took long enough. Just saying. What do you want to call Kenny and Coda now? Frenemies? Do you want to call them?
I don't even know if we
frenemies?
can. I was gonna say I don't even know if we can add enemies in there. Like, yeah, I guess frenemies.
Festival of Friendship.
Oh man, all I can think of. I that was my favorite moment of last year.
Why is my name on the list?
Whoops.
And then, by the way, that spot in the corner where Jericho ate the ring post, he goes, "You see what happens?" I thought he was gonna say, "You go on the list." I really thought he was.
I thought he was gonna write him again.
I thought he was just like just now. I thought I'm thinking back to it.
Pull out the list.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna pull out the list at some point during his entrance.
But see, what's great is Jericho doesn't revisit.
No, and they said it on the broadcast. He's the king of reintroducing himself, or reinventing himself, I should say.
Yep.
And he did it. He came out as a cocky, smarmy heel. He came out douchey as a douchey rock star with the light up jacket. He flipped off the crowd. He beat up Red Shoes and his son. I love when he was yelling at Red Shoes. It's no DQ, you moron. Like, I thought that was great heel work.
And the greatest thing is he wasn't saying you stupid idiot to get a pop.
No, he wasn't. He was just being himself. And I feel that because I know Jericho Online has been catching a lot of heat for one, dedicating the match to Eddie, and well, more so for Benoit. And then getting women on the cruise, getting people to go on the cruise because he's like, oh, it's going to be like scantily clad women in bikinis. He's a salesman.
Yeah.
I get it. And I also get that he will always have Chris Benoit in a soft place in his heart. The human Chris Benoit, the person
Right.
he knew, the memory of Chris Benoit. Do I think he should have verbalized it? Probably not, just from a public relations standpoint.
But you know what? You're right. But man, you gotta think about the good. Like he's thinking about the good times. I know.
Exactly.
Like I
And he
know
said on his Jericho podcast, then he had
he had
Nancy
his sister on.
and he said, look, what my friend did was
That wasn't my
heinous.
friend.
But the person that did that, I don't know who that person was.
I know who Chris Benoit from this end of this time was, and that's what he was getting at. He wasn't meaning to disregard what he did to his family. I know. I've listened to Jericho's podcast. He never will forgive that. He said it 100 times. He will never forgive it. But it was still his friend. Like so backstory about me. My best friend was hit by. So it's a weird story and kind of a chip thing. But my best friend was my neighbor. Lived diagonally across from me. And one day there was a park kind of like maybe a half mile from my house. So we were riding our bikes home and I realized I forgot my backpack. We turned around and we went back to the park and I forgot my backpack. So I crossed the street and he was right behind me. Well, my neighbor that lived directly next to me was driving up that street, and weird timing, driving up that street, and he hit and killed my best friend. But my neighbor was also one of my friends. And you know what? Yeah, maybe I'll never forgive him for hitting him, but you know what? It was still my neighbor. He's still my friend. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not the same, but I can,
Right.
you know what I mean?
No, I get it. And I think that's what a lot of the contention from people is that some people condone, or it comes across as condoning the acts committed by Chris Benoit, but you can look, man.
He's not.
Yeah.
Like he's not forgiving him. He never will.
And he never will, but he misses his friend just like he misses Eddie. I'm sure Dean Malenko feels the same way. Like Dean was tight with both of those guys too.
Yep.
And I'm sure he feels the same way. Like, look, I miss my friends. And yes, you can have friends. We've discussed this with everything happening in independent wrestling. You can be friends with a dick.
Right.
But if you call them out, fine, for the acts that they did, for being a bad human to other people. But if they're still your friend, it's okay to be friends with assholes, and pardon my French, but you can't erase that part of your life.
Like you gotta wonder how many times Jericho, how many times Chavo, like asked themselves, because Chavo was close too. How many times Dean asked, why? Like why'd you do this? Like, you know what I mean?
And they're never gonna get an answer.
No.
And they live with that inside of themselves to say, my friend committed this act.
Yep. How many times do you think Chris Benoit's own son asked that question?
Yes.
The one that Daniel, I believe. Not Daniel.
No, I know who you mean.
Yeah, his older son. How many times? Because you know what? Chris kind of ruined his life. He was gonna become a wrestler. He'll never get signed by WWE ever.
Nope, ever.
Not even a remote possibility. I don't think, anyways.
No, I don't think so. I think Benoit scrubbed forever from WWE lore, and deservedly so. I'm sorry to say, deservedly so.
But you know what? To the guy, I'll leave nameless. You didn't need to do that. Like,
the writer in question.
Yes.
You
didn't need to do that. We all know.
Yeah, you didn't need to shine the light on that, bro. That was unnecessary. That was just you trying to get your own heat, your own voiceover.
And you know what? He's butthurt because Jericho banned him from the cruise because of his comment, which again I think was also blown out of proportion.
Yeah, I get it.
So he's probably a little butthurt about that.
And pardon the usage of the word butthurt. I don't usually say that term, folks, but I think given the person we're talking about, and go on Twitter, you can figure it out.
Yeah, everybody probably knows who we're talking about.
But overall, good card. Going back to wrap up here for New Japan for Wrestle Kingdom 12. Good card. Best match for me was Okada Naito. I think you agree also. Surprising match for me, as I said, was the Fatal 4-Way because it was fun to watch, and I would rewatch it again because it was fun. And I'm not a big New Japan guy, but I was glad to be able to watch it and be able to give the expertise. And before we get out of here, I know we start doing the whole, people are going to be like, well, this wasn't about women's wrestling. All right. The big story is the Women's Royal Rumble. There will be 30 participants. Now they're doing the mixed tag league or whatever you want to call it, the mixed tag challenge.
Braun and Alexa are my
Braun and
favorites.
Alexa are the two people on that team, and then you got the fake Ric Flair and Bobby Roode with Charlotte. You have Sasha and Balor.
Oh my god, I'm so pissed about that one.
You know, I thought they should have had Balor and Bailey. That's just me.
Me too.
Because it goes back to their NXT days. That is the major thing going on in women's wrestling right now.
We got nothing right now.
We got nothing. The Riot Squad, I'm over it, dude. I can't. I'm done. I'm done with Absolution.
This week, so
I'm done with Absolution. I'm done with the Riot Squad. Just bring me the Women's Royal Rumble. Bring me Nia Jax. Not bringing chicken soup to Enzo Amore or anything like that.
God.
Stop wasting Nia Jax.
Just leave him. Like, if he never, like, he doesn't need to defend the Cruiserweight title. Just mail it. Like, you don't need to come back.
Delete him. Delete. I'm fine with that.
Thanks, Matt Hardy. Eat him.
Eat him. Devour him and take his power like it's like Highlander. Chop his head off. But that's what's going on in women's wrestling. There's nothing really much happening. NXT just had their award show. You know the roster by now. I want them to bring up Bianca Belair more so in NXT. I know she tours, but bring her onto television more. Shayna Baszler debuts next week. That's going to be fun. I'm done with Kairi Sane. Yeah, these are hot takes, but for anyone who's complaining.
Thank you.
You know, anyone who's complaining
on my band, you're getting on my wavelength here.
Yeah, Kairi is not the Kairi Hojo that we all knew and loved. Let's just edit that out.
Yep.
Ember Moon, I'm never going to be a fan of unless she does some character work. I'm not a fan of Lacey Evans, even though she's good in ring. I'm not a fan of Tiana Conti, even though she needs some work. But the women's division is stacked. I was going to call the chaotic duo. The iconic duo is good for what it is. Billie Kay should be Peyton Royce's manager. That's where she should fit in with this whole thing. But that's how I feel about women's wrestling this week. There wasn't a lot going on. I gave you my 2 cents. Chip, before we get out of here, any 2 cents on women's wrestling before we go?
Just right now, there's not a lot going on. But and you talked about there, people are gonna say, oh, but you guys are a women's wrestling show. Yes and no. Like, yes, that's still our number one. But when big things like this happen, we are going to cover it. So
exactly,
we're doing more than just women's wrestling. And
we talk,
like this is nothing to talk about.
And if you follow us at Glasscast NEI, you see the header. It says we talk NXT, we talk Indies, we talk women's. Now we're talking New Japan. We are one-stop shopping for your wrestling needs on the NEI Wrestling Network. I am Damian Salty G. This is Chip K Fabe. It's been great having you on the live stream. You can find the show again at Glasscast NEI. Chip at Checkin' the Boots. Oh no, at Chip K Fabe. I'm sorry.
Yep.
and myself at Dare to be Damian. Matt McCool will be with us next week. He's at McCool NAI.
Oh yeah, we should probably bring up real quick. We didn't get to record together because of the blizzard. Both myself and Damian didn't have power for 2 days. It's the only day we had available because of the power outage. Just wanted to bring that up.
and Chip's on a generator right now, so that's why Matt's not here.
It's craziness right now.
Yeah, but thank you so much for listening. We love you all. Without you, there is no us. Again, give wrestling a chance. Give women's wrestling a chance. We'll see you next week.